The girl I wanted for so long, but after having her, I don't feel the same. She's become clingy. Now what?
Yeah, that's life. With everything, it's kind of like when you're a kid, you want a toy all year for your birthday or Christmas or whatever. You finally get it and you play with it for a couple of days, and then 2 weeks later, it's at the bottom of your toy box. And so, like, what's happening in that case is he had a fantasy of what he thought being with her would be like.
Yeah.
And then he finally got to experience being with her, and it didn't match the fantasy.
Hmm.
And that happens sometimes. But it's like anything. It's like test driving a car that you like. You might think that car looks amazing, and then you get it and you drive it. You're like, oh, that's really uncomfortable.
Right.
Or you think that girl's really hot, and then you take her home, and you're like, wow, that was the worst lay I've ever had in my life. She has no body awareness. Or
Hmm.
she was a terrible conversationalist, and she was boring. She had nothing going on. Didn't know how to cook. Didn't know how to do anything.
Yeah.
Had nothing interesting to say. I mean, those things are going to happen. So the important thing is if you know that you don't want to be with her, you got to be honest. You got to tell her, rip the band-aid off, say you've been great, but there's no chemistry, there's no spark, there's not enough of a spark. I want to keep dating other people.
You got to communicate. But I also feel like that sucks and it's unfair because a lot of times that does happen where you have this fantasy in your head, you're goo goo gaga over this person, and the moment you have like a little taste, you're like, okay, I'm good. I'm done. And then you leave that person just wandering and
Or she blows up your bathroom and you're like, you never look at her the same.
or that. But most of the time the person gets led on and that person ends up getting hurt and you just move on with your life like nothing.
Yeah, the person that cares the least has all the leverage. The
Yeah.
person with the most to lose always is in the weakest position of leverage.
Mhm.
That's why for men, you want to build yourself up because it really, I mean, if you think about it, 74% of all Americans are obese or overweight. So just being decently fit and in shape, you don't have to be super buff or anything, but just being fit and in shape is a cheat code. And by becoming successful, focusing on growing your reserve of knowledge as a man, developing your gifts, your skills, your talents, and as you get older, you get more life experience, you make more money, your income earning potential grows, your confidence grows. And like I know like when I got into my early 30s compared to like my early 20s, I got way more attention from women in my 30s, not because I became better looking even though I got older.
Yeah.
What happened was I was giving off a completely different vibe, a confident, competent kind of vibe versus, when I was in my early 20s, I was still worried about other people's approval, especially the girls that I liked. And as you get older, you get more experience, you become more stoic, you focus more on yourself and making yourself happy and get into a happy place. And you get to a place where you don't look to a woman to make you happy anymore. You have to be
Right.
happy yourself. And when you're content yourself and you give off that vibe and you're not super hungry, women notice that. They can sense it. They can feel it. They can feel which guys have their act together and that are popular with women and which guys women don't want to be around at all.
Yeah. That's very true. I mean, as like a woman perspective, it's the same thing because I feel like girls get really wrapped around guys easily. Like we get super attached because it's just a motherly instinct to mother someone, to
I'm gonna
have
fix
someone.
him. He's so great. He'd be perfect if
Yeah.
I could just fix this one thing.
But I've learned to grow myself and love myself, love my own company. Like I said in the other, I think it was part of one of the podcasts. But I've learned to just appreciate my own time, my own space, what I have going on, my work, my life, my future, um, my home, that I don't really need someone to mesh with it. Like if someone were to elevate with me, then by all means I would love that. Like to have someone work with me and get better in life. But someone who's just gonna crash and hold me back, I'd rather just be alone, you know? And in that case, like a man who shows up and they have trouble, they're using you for entertainment or they're lonely or ego boost because I feel like a lot of guys use women for ego boosts to know that, oh, I got this really hot girl, but I'm not really interested in her. I just need her for that confidence, little 5 seconds of pleasure type of thing.
5 whole seconds, huh?
5, 10,
That's
whatever.
like a two-pump jump.
um and it's like unfair to the people who actually are like mentally, physically just healed and ready to move on, be better in life.
Yeah, you got to get to a place where you're happy being alone and where you're proud of yourself and you're proud of your life. Because if you're not proud of your life, then you're certainly not going to be able to convince a girl. If you're not excited about your own life, you're not going to be able to get her excited about your life.
Right.
And so that's why it's super important to get to a happy place first and then find yourself a girl that's also in a happy place.
Yeah.
Because you attract how you act. If you're in a shitty place, but you're hoping, oh, if I just have a hot girlfriend, then I'll feel better and my life will finally be complete. Well,
Right.
that'll last about 6 months, maybe 12 months. And then when the infatuation wears off, you realize that you still hate yourself or you hate your life and you're not really
You
happy.
don't have anything going on for yourself.
Yeah, well, then you realize that, even though this girl's amazing that's with me, it's like, she's not making me happy. And then
Right.
what happens is the guy stops putting his best foot forward. He stops dating and courting her properly, stops taking the time to make sure she feels heard and understood. And then now the relationship starts to go sideways because he already feels crappy about his life.
Hmm.
And now, because he's realized that his girl can't make him happy, then he starts neglecting her, and that starts going bad.
Then
So
yeah.
then he feels crappy about his own life, and now he feels crappy about his relationship because that's going in the toilet,
Hmm.
and it spirals because he's just an unhappy person. And it's
Yeah.
like, if you once you recognize that the girl's not going to make you happy, even if you re-attract her, then the guys oftentimes will just sabotage the relationship because they already don't feel good
Right.
by themselves, and they feel inadequate a lot of times with the girl that they're with, especially
Yeah.
when they realize that she's not making me happy, can't make me happy.
Just because your life is messed up doesn't mean you have to go and mess up someone else's. That is perfectly fine. Just because of your confusion, you're lost. You don't know what you want. You don't know where your what's it called? Your purpose is. Doesn't mean you have to mess up someone else's.
Well, misery loves company. That's the interesting thing. We're always looking to validate our worldview. We're always looking to validate our life choices. And so if somebody, like say a guy's dating a girl who's actually pretty happy
Mm-hmm.
and has her life together and he's miserable, over time he's eventually going to start to resent the fact that she's happy and he's not. And then he
Right.
starts to attack her because we typically, things we don't like about other people, especially when other people get on our nerves, usually there's parts of their personality that they're connected to that we're disconnected from in our own lives. So if you're a happy person and you're around people that are unhappy, they're going to be mad at you for being happy.
Yeah.
If you have a good relationship, then when you get around people that don't have a good relationship, they're going to be jealous and envious of you. If you have more money than somebody else, they're going to be pissed off about that. If you have a nicer car, a nicer house, you're more attractive, you're in better shape, typically people that aren't those things that want to be those things are going to attack you. That's what a hater is. A hater doesn't actually hate you, they hate themselves,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't like the fact that you're doing better than them.
Yeah.
And as you become, especially if you can't come from humble beginnings, what you start to notice as you become more successful,
Yeah.
then you got people that are in your peer group that you grew up with. It's like they want you to be happy, but they just don't want you to be happier than
Not
them.
too happy.
Yeah, if you start doing too well, then they actually start attacking you and talking shit about you, trying to sandbag your success
Right.
and knock you down a few notches. Because if they can knock you down a few notches and then you kind of stay at their level, then now you validated their worldview.
Mm-hmm.
Now you validated that the way they go about life is accurate and good. And then they keep doing that.
Yeah.
Versus if somebody's not treating you the way you want to be treated, you sometimes have to leave. You sometimes have to move on.
Right.
You can't let other people drag you down because they will.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be a boat anchor around your neck.
Yeah.
They'll sink their own dreams and they'll sink yours.
And I'm definitely heavy on kill them with kindness. Although people might try to hate on you and bring you down and make you feel, I guess, I only know the word in Spanish, but guilty for having what you have and what you worked on. Like, try to be positive, try to be the bigger person, like, no matter how much they throw at you, just put on a happy face. Like, oh, it's okay, like, do you need help? How can I help you? Like, what can we do to get you to where you want to be? Because I'm already where I want to be. So I can only help. And if you don't want to receive that help, my positivity, then I will just let you go. And if it has to be a harsh cutoff, then that's what I have to do for me. And you don't have to worry about how that person feels, what that person might think. As long as you're doing what you need to do for yourself, that's all that matters.
The quality of your life is in direct proportion to the quality of the people that you consistently spend your time with.